I have the pencil mark is actually over here, and so I'm just transferring it now so I know where to cut it. I'm making the stencil for this mark I'm about to make, and it's a pretty big mark, so I have just this one little bit to do now, and I'm just finishing it up. It's not a very economical way of making a painting, because most people just basically just grab a brush and make some paint, and they just put it down on the surface, and that seems to be a more economical way, a faster way of doing things. But I kind of like dragging every little part of it out, the whole process of making a painting. This idea of doing something that's very intuitive, but breaking it down into all these steps is kind of what my work is about. I'm very interested in that relationship between things that happen naturally and things that happen by design. I do it in multiple sections so that it's actually easy when I'm peeling it off. I can peel each little section off, and sometimes if the paint's really thick, I always think about the way that I'm peeling it off so that the tape kind of curves into the mark itself, and it's better if I produce it into a bunch of multiple sections. It just works out better that way. I'm sealing these areas where the tape is using my fingernail, basically, because it's the sort of quickest way to do it. But if I don't do this, paint will get underneath the tape. So there's some pretty sloppy areas here where I didn't tighten it around the tape enough, so that it's kind of leaks and it gets kind of messy. But in a way that's okay because it's a painting. Once I had this dealer that was describing my work as finish fetish, and I said, no, don't do that, because that then holds me to this like standard of really trying to make it absolutely perfect, because that's what finish fetish is. I strive to make it perfect, but there's always things that go wrong in a painting, and all you can do is just, make the effort. Okay, so this is, I use alkyd paint, and it's like an oil paint, but it's got resin in it, and it dries a lot quicker than normal oil paint. It also dries kind of thoroughly. It dries on the inside as well as the outside. Like most oil paint, when you use it, it dries, takes a long time to dry, but it mainly dries on the outside, and it stays wet on the inside for a long time. And because I like to use stencils for all my marks, there's going to be areas where I'm stenciling over an area that's already been painted, and then the paint has to be tough to be able to handle that second application of tape. Oil paint would just tear, so that's why I prefer to use alkyd paint. Sometimes it's good to use my guide for making the stencil so that I can remember exactly where the parts are that are inside that I need to get at. So let's see. There's one right here, hiding back here. This is my second application. It's a kind of a really dark color. It's basically I just mixed a lot of dark colors together. Like if you put ultramarine blue or cobalt blue with a burnt umber, and throw in a couple other dark colors so you can get a really nice looking black. I put some medium down on the first exposed area, the blue. That was the first layer. I spritzed a whole bunch of terp on top of it with the idea that I wanted it to kind of break up like this. After I took off the stencil, it just kind of bled out. As I saw it kind of bleeding out like that, I thought, you know, I actually kind of like that. So I let it go in a lot of areas. I mean, I almost see it as kind of like all the moisture in this dead burnt tree kind of escaping from the tree. It's like when something burns, it's like all the moisture just kind of gets sucked out of it. This is called matte Duralar. This paper that I'm painting on is a synthetic paper, usually used in graphic design. If you layer it, you get this kind of ghost quality to the images where it kind of, things become, they start to disappear. Making my stencils, I do a tracing and then I use the basic tracing of the form that I want to do, and then I use it to kind of go back with the masking tape to always kind of get a perfectly registered mark. This is going to take me a while because I'm using this little brush, but I kind of like that. I like using this tiny little brush to paint the whole damn thing. And this is just one layer. I'll probably do a couple layers with different gradations. This is sort of the area that I go hiking the most up in this area. I think we're around 7,000 feet. There's a lot of good peaks up here, and they're all connected with these little ridges, these little saddles. And we have like Mount Williamson, Mount Islip, Mount Hawkins, Throop Peak, Baden Powell. They're all, and there's trails that basically connect all these peaks. And if you hike along these ridges between the peaks, you find a lot of really amazing trees. There's a lot of serious weather up here, and so the trees get kind of beaten up a bit, but they hang on, and they're kind of more interesting for it. You know, in terms of their form, it's like looking at a bonsai tree. They're very kind of twisted and ornamental, and they have a lot of character. When you get kind of lower, the trees are just they just go straight up, and they all kind of look the same. But up around here, you can see the different kinds of pine trees. They're all very unique. Each one's totally unique. And so that's what I'm looking for. I'm looking for a tree that's has its own character and it's interesting. I'm looking for both living and dead trees, but I'm really interested in this idea of kind of documenting the entire life of the tree.